Welcome to Chris Swift Studio. This is Chris, and in today's tutorial we're going to be going over all the different ways you can work with a graphic equalizer for your audio in Final Cut Pro 10. From the timeline, select any clip that has audio on it, and for today's tutorial I'm pretty much only going to be working with this one voiceover that I made, but the principles will be the same for any audio clip you have, music or a video clip with embedded audio, etc. With the clip selected, come under Audio Enhancements, and here we have Equalization and set on flat as the default. Click on the Graphic Equalizer icon and to take a look at this guy, and you will see your audio broken into 10 different frequency bands. The frequencies are related to the pitch of the sound, quite low on the left and then quite high on the right. This range, as you can see, goes from 32 hertz or 32 cycles per second up to 16,000 hertz or 16,000 cycles per second. The range of human hearing for the average human who's an early teenager is about 20 to 20,000 hertz. And so for those of you in your 20s or your 30s or 40s or 50s or more, that kind of starts tightening up on the high end and low end as you get older. Right. So this is the pitch or the frequency from low to high, and then on this axis will be the decibels. That relates to the amplitude of a sound or its volume. Now if you really want to get insane, we've got 10 bands showing here. You can play around with 31 bands if you want. For us, I'll just stick on 10. And here we go. If I wanted to boost the bass a little bit, just simply click and boost it up. And click and boost it up a little bit. There we go. And if I wanted to move a range of them, simply click and drag a box, then choose one, and they all come up or down together. Okay. Now, in terms of presets, there's a lot to choose from here in Final Cut Pro 10. Click on your drop-down menu, and you will see, 8 of them, I think, here. Let's try the bass boost. No, let's try bass reduce here. Okay. And again, click on the icon for the graphic equalizer, and you'll see your lowest frequencies are dropping off. This is traditionally called a bass roll-off. And sometimes if you've got some unwanted noise in your audio, it may be very well possible that the best thing you could do is apply this bass roll-off to get rid of the unwanted noise. But so much of this and what you do with your audio and how you adjust the frequencies and whether you decide to boost them up or lower them, otherwise known as attenuate, so you boost it, increase the volume, attenuate, drop the volume, it depends on your personal taste. You're going to have to trust your ears on everything you do here. So you will have a lot of these built in. Treble reduce, all the rest of them, and there are also a lot of other ways to play around with either boosting or attenuating specific frequencies. And another one would be open up the Effects Browser with Command 5 or click on the icon, and then you come all the way down to the audio selections. Click on EQ to get your equalizers. You've got a lot in here. And a lot of these are pretty intuitive, like less bass, for example. And on any of these, what you can do is, with the clip with the audio selected, all you have to do is double-click the effect, and then you will see controls coming in here. I selected less bass. Called Fat EQ. Click on the icon for the graphic equalizer again, and you will see that same classic bass roll-off effect. And as you drag your slider, you can see what's happening here. Those frequencies are starting to move up in the roll-off a little bit. So you can play your clip, listen to that, see how you like it, And what you might also do is, let's say you want less treble. Now you can just come down and click on that, double click, and now you have a layer of two effects here. And if you click on that for the graphic equalizer, now you'll be able to see both of them side by side. And you can play with either one as you choose. Now, if you decide that you want to just take a listen here and see what it sounds like, go ahead and play your clip, and dynamically as you're playing your clip you can play around with the sliders to see what the different effects are, and you can also, with the clip playing dynamically, turn off one effect, turn off both effects to see what it sounded like originally, see which one you like the best. If you want to simply get rid of an effect, click on the bar to highlight it, that kind of grayish blue, and hit delete. And click on it to highlight it and hit delete. Now down here under the logic ones, you get some fantastic interfaces for equalization. I'm going to click on channel EQ 2 times, and then I'm going to bring up the graphic equalizer. Here's pretty much what you see. Now, one cool thing about this, what I'm going to do is play the clip. Okay. Playing the clip right now, and click Analyzer. And here with the Analyzer, you can see the actual waveform itself, which is darn cool. Now, I haven't applied any effects here, but if I do want to apply an effect, now this is a voiceover. You can find a preset quite easily for voice enhance, but to be honest with you, I don't like it. And I do a lot of voiceovers, obviously, making these tutorials, and an effect I kind of like a lot more is if the lower frequencies are boosted and the middle frequencies are not quite middle, but somewhere around here, 500 to 1200 hertz, are just attenuated just slightly. So with the channel EQ interface open, this is quite easy. Hover over decibels, that's for the volume, and then I can click and drag it down. Now I'll make some of these changes extreme so you can see more easily how to adjust this. I'll bring it way down like this. Now if I hover over the frequency, it's at 80 hertz right now. If I click and drag up, I'm moving to the right, and down, I'm moving to the left, and you see the numbers change as you do that. And also now this cool Q factor, I don't honestly know what Q stands for, but it basically is about the slope of the shoulder. Now let me just, whatever that means, so let me just do it and you can see it more easily. I'll click and drag up, or click and drag down. So it either smooths out the slope of that shoulder or steepens up the slope of the shoulder. And you can come across on any frequency and do this. Let's take the 500 hertz and let me attenuate that slightly. And let me also maybe move it up just a little bit. There we go. And let me also flatten out the shoulder a little bit. Now that's a little bit extreme for voiceovers according to what I like to hear anyway. But nevertheless, if I just modify that a little bit, bring this up a little bit, and if I click inside, I can click and drag also and make adjustments, and you can see the numbers changing as I do that. Yeah, and there's also, if you come across the line, you'll see the little dot. Click on the dot, and I can do some changes there in terms of the Q factor. So there's a great deal you can do with this in just the channel EQ, and it's pretty fantastic. Well, what's another one? Linear phase EQ, okay, is basically the same thing. Do a double click on linear phase, highlight the channel EQ, hit the delete key, come back here, get the graphic equalizer up, and you will see exactly the same thing, and you will make changes exactly the same way. Now if you wanted to just to fix in a bass roll-off, just click on that guy, and there it is. Then you can play with your settings, and if you want a treble roll-off, same thing. Okay, auto filter. Now, this one is really complicated, and let me get rid of linear phase EQ. Auto filter, graphic equalizer. This one's kind of a killer. Not being, not having a PhD in audio engineering, there's much of this interface I don't really understand, and however, it is kind of fun to play with these, especially these attack, decay, sustain, and release. These are about some of the ones that I do know about. And to explain these, imagine you're sitting at a piano and you press one key down on the piano, hold it down for a little bit, and then release it. From the time you hit the key until the tone reaches its maximum volume, that's called attack. The decay is the time after it hits its maximum volume until that volume drops by 60 decibels. That's a kind of a fixed cutoff point. 60 decibels down is the decay time. The sustain is after you hit that drop of 60 decibels until you release your finger from the key. And the release is when you release your finger from the key until the volume of the sound drops to 0. So in that one keystroke, you have 4 different things you can play with. For the auto filter also, the other one I know is threshold. It's set at minus 20 decibels, and what that means is any kind of playing around you do here will only affect the volume above minus 20 decibels. So this is kind of the protector threshold thing. Anything up to minus 20 decibels here will not be affected by anything you do over here. It's only what's above your threshold setting. So obviously, if you move this up to 0 decibels, and you really don't want the volume of your audio to go higher than 0 decibels, if you set this at 0 decibels, then this will affect absolutely everything on your audio track. But this one is wild. This is the envelope, as I say, attack, decay, sustain, and release. This is the low frequency oscillation, so you have 2 controls you can play with here, different waveforms, a square wave, etc., and a retrigger. Like I say, there's a lot I don't understand on this interface, but it is cool to at least play with these on autofilter. And there is some idea of how to get into specific frequencies in Final Cut Pro 10 and boost them or attenuate them, and also how to layer them and how to delete them if you don't like them. Okay, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.